Konik horses, a breed, a species, or just horses who are walking in more or less freedom. Welcome in the Oostvaardersplassen. This is an area in the Netherlands where many animals live together. Around 3,000 animals have to live there. Compared to other parks, it's very small. Horses are very high social. They guide each other and they bond for a lifetime. When horses are sleeping, one or two horses are looking around. Here we see a schedule of the increasing amount of horses. I'm going to focus first on the species behavior. The species behavior, which is very important. Horses form lifelong relationships. They know harem groups, they know bachelor groups, and sometimes a stallion lives for a while solitaire. Now we're going to ask ourselves, are horses the same as a zebra? Let's look at the evolution. When we look very close, we see that 4 million years ago, the zebra separated from a donkey and a horse. 4 million years ago. They look a little bit different. We have plain zebras, we have mountain zebras, and we have greavy zebras. They don't only look different, they live different. They have a different way of social bonding. For instance, the greavy zebra doesn't have permanent social bonds. They only are seen together in a few months. Listen to a zebra. Okay, does he sound like a horse? The only change of color in nature is the albino, but the konik shows several offspring, several colors. When we see them walking in freedom, whatever you want to call it, they're fenced. You see that there are many colors, there are many types, but mainly they are gray. And this is a result of human selection. They are supposed to be wild horses, and I get more and more the idea that people, our scientists, are very self-assured that we have a new breed. There we see a fox, a color fox. And human selection causes, indeed, varieties in colors, but after a few generations, the basic colors can come back, like the basic types can come back. When you study horse behavior, you will know that horses are very social. They're very high social. Horses live together, they form herds, and compared to the zebras, here we see the fox color, which is, it probably is a konik, but it's not a gray horse. We are able to create all kinds of breeds, all kinds of colors, and that's human selection. The issue on these horses is that they were left out in 1984, and as far as I can look back, there was no selection on which horses, there was no bonding, and now they have increased in more than 1,000 horses. At the back you will see the trees, and well, at least what's left of it. The selection in this area, which is not a park, but it's an area, is based on food. And horses, of course, do have different enemies. In normal social bondings, they have to fight for who is getting this harem. They have to, it takes a long time for a stallion to become somebody. All over the world, horses show the same behavior, the similar behavior, the species behavior. They form groups, harems, and in the harems, that's where the fillies are born. That's where the fillies are protected. And that's a very successful form because they do it already millions of years this way. We see it happen in the United States, we see it happen in Australia, we see it happen everywhere, except here on the Oostvaardersplassen. You see a complete different way of living. You see them almost live like the mountain zebras, who indeed live in very, very tall groups and People call that also a herd. So the definition of herd is, well, it's different. It can be 1,000 of animals, and it can be a species-specific herd. Let's talk about the species-specific herd. The species-specific herd is the stallion, who is having 3, 10 mares. It depends on the breed. It depends on everything, and who is protecting his mares and his offspring, of course. In nature, it's pretty uncommon that a stallion kills the offspring, because the stallion is the only one who is being replaced. Here you can see the stallion, or a stallion, making his mares walk. The success of the way of living, of the social structure of horses, means that they have the possibility to survive. They have biological, their body, their brain, their emotions. It's all connected, and it made them very successful. When we go to the Netherlands, we see that these horses are not bonding the way they are doing on the rest of our planet. They are living in enormous groups of 200-300 horses. Well, that's what we see in the mountain zebras, and also in the plain zebras, who can live together with other species. But normally horses are living like nomads. They travel along with their herd, with their offspring. And the stallion, and it's also seen that there are 2 stallions, which I'm not sure if they were this harem stallion or just offspring. The fillies stay quite some time with the mares, and then they go off, and then they go to these bachelor groups. And it can be seen that horses are living together with other animals. Well, here you can see a very good example of the social qualities, which I call not qualities, because they are always, when you stand there for 15 minutes, you will see a fight here, you will see a fight there, you will see horses running, you will see these stallions doing their best to separate their harem, their herd, from the others. But it's impossible, because there are so many horses together, and that's a complete strange way of living, and it increases stress. This gives stress. On the reports of the scientists, and scientists can always explain things which do not make sense. I don't want to attack anybody. They say it's normal. If you look on the environment, you can also see that there are many trees fallen, that they're dead. Well, I think, and I'm pretty sure about that the selection here is not built on social skills or whatever. It's built on food. Only in wintertime horses die. And I don't want any horse to die, but look at this. I did a little bit fast movie. Look at this. There are so many horses. There's so many stress. And that's completely not normal. And I know that the man who thought this out says, I want this biodiversity, and I want this old situation back. Well, he or the people who are doing this created a complete disturbed situation, at least for the horses as species. Horses are no zebras, and they still think that these animals live like zebras. That's wrong. I don't have to explain to you that a horse and a donkey is different, but well, you can see it very easy. And this is only when we were standing there for I don't know, an hour, and you see all kinds of fights, and you see an immense group of horses, and people love it. I can imagine, if you don't understand anything about the social behavior of horses, that you like what you see. Wow, there are many horses and there are fights. And well, we all know that people love fights. They love to see fights. Well, real fights. For the horses, it's stress. There's a continuous stress factor. In the wild, you will see horses come together in wintertime. But the way they are living here, this is continuous 3, or I don't know how many, but at least 300 horses together. Now the grass is not growing anymore. It's January. This is filmed in January, so that means that there is getting there's not enough food for everybody, and you can see it on the trees. You can see it on the total environment that they are eating whatever they can find. And here is a horse looking around. It's hopeless. There's no way for them to form herds the way they do in nature. How come it's so impossible for them to do? Well, one of the issues is that they are kept behind a fence, that there are so many horses and they're kept behind a fence. So that increases disturbed behavior. That increases why they do not bond the way they do in nature. The inconvenience of people walking there, going there by cars, it's a very, they call it recreation, so people can enjoy nature. Well, the intervention of people is always there. They see a lot of people, and we know in nature that as soon as people are there, that there's intervention. And people are still, for many animals, something to fear for. Not because they know that people harm them, but they just walk away from people. Well, these are very tame, except that they do fight a lot. So they are showing a lot of wild behavior, which is very interesting for people who are not aware of how the social structure of horses is. 30% of these horses is not going to make it, and I already see somebody. It looks like a young horse from the age of 1 or 2 years old, who's having a serious hoof issue, something. I don't know what happened, but he's probably one of the 30%, or she, who's going to die. Do we want this? That's the question I want to ask. Do we want this? Do we want this to happen in our country? Are we responsible for these horses? Yes or no? I mean, our scientists can say, well, it's beautiful and people love it. But when you are aware of how horses really behave, you can easily see on this movie, or if you go there yourself, you can easily see how disturbed these horses are, and they can't help it. We cannot blame a horse ever for being a horse. We cannot blame a horse which is fenced for not showing instinctual behavior, not going back to the behavior. Again, fights, runnings, and on the back you see another fight. So many horses together, and it's, well, actually I should say there are no words, because why does it happen? Because there are horses everywhere, so the stallions try to bond, they try to do things, but it's impossible. So, by making this movie, I hope that people start to think and start to take their responsibility. Even though we keep horses for a long time, and in this case 30 years behind a fence, that doesn't mean that they're a new species, that they're a new kind of horse. They want to go back to instinct, but this makes it impossible for horses to even come close to instinct. They try, they do their best. And that's why I think we are responsible and we should help them. We should help them to get back to a horse of any value. 30% is going to die.